Welcome back. Now, Nigerian political economist and convener of the Shadow Government Initiative has unveiled his shadow cabinet named the Big Tent Movement. Speaking at the conclusion of a two-day retreat in Abuja, Utomi described the coalition, the adoption now of the ADC coalition as a strategic move towards fostering accountable leadership and advancing national development. He clarified that the shadow cabinet is not intended to usurp the role of the ruling All Progressives Congress, but to provide expert policy reviews that can help shape national development. He noted that strong democracies thrive on checks and balances and emphasized the need for Nigeria to adopt similar frameworks to enhance governance. He also criticized the practice of lawmakers executing constituency projects, describing it as a deviation from their constitutional responsibilities. He further expressed confidence in the African Democratic Congress coalition, which he says is a credible and value-driven political alternative for Nigerians, describing the coalition as a work in progress aimed at using value-driven projects to move the country forward. Now, recall that the federal government has expressed disapproval of Utomi's shadow cabinet, describing it as unnecessary and potentially misleading. The government had actually insisted that genuine reform must take place through established democratic institutions rather than parallel structures. Well, joining me now to discuss this further, I have Dayo Akintobi, who is a political affairs analyst. He joins us in the studio. And joining us from Abuja is Yabagi Yusuf Sani, who is a former presidential candidate and national chairman, Action Democratic Party. He joins us, of course, as I said, from Abuja. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Let me start with you, Mr. Akintobi. Do you think this whole idea of, the shadow cabinet, if you like, do you think it's just a storm in a teacup or something to be taken seriously?
Well, the idea behind it is credible. The idea of having an opposition to be able to keep the administration in check and to foster better governance, to criticize and to advise and to offer alternatives. I think this entire rabble-rousing is because of the terminology shadow government. I wish they had picked a different description to call it, because, of course, if you remember back in 1993 when Chief MK Abiola declared himself president, I remember the ruckus that caused. Yeah. Basically, if you have a government in power, they don't want to hear of any similar sort of terminology to describe any group under any guise whatsoever. Yes. So I think the misnomer in this is calling it any kind of a government whatsoever. I think that have been better situated if they had said they were an opposition coalition, they were an advocacy group for better governance. There were many other terms they could have used that wouldn't have caused all of this ruckus. But I think the purpose behind it is genuine. I think it portends well for our polity. I think if they do exactly as they claim to do. I also like the idea that by having unveiled a cabinet, what they've essentially done is allocate one member of their group to each ministry and to each sector, such that each of those people, just like they do in a parliamentary system like in the UK, for example, which is where I think this model was picked from, is that...
Even though we practice presidential system.
Exactly. So that's part of the contradiction, is that in a presidential system, you really can't have a parallel government or a shadow government or, an under government or anything like that. But they picked this from there. The idea is credible, but I think the structure might be wrong.
Let me come to you, Mr. Yusuf Sani. Could this, you are a member of the Action Democratic Party, the national chairman of that party, and you've actually contested for the presidency before. You look at this shadow government, it's basically like what some people, just as Mr. Akintobi said, look, what they intend to do is to provide some kind of, opposition, so to speak. So the question is, if groups like, parties like yours had been effective in providing the needed opposition, providing the needed inputs now from an opposition party point of view, it just might probably not have been necessary to have this shadow government formed in the first place.
Well, you are right, but the issue is this. A shadow government in a presidential system of democracy is a misnomer. You know, it was not intended that you have a shadow government under a presidential system of government. And where you have one, definitely it will be at loggerhead with the structure, that is the formal structure of government as put in place by parties that are in power. And this is where, because often than not, what you call shadow governments are pressure groups, perhaps people that were in government before, or bureaucrats and things like that. And then the drawback with such groups is that they are not accountable because they are not elected. So they can do a lot of things which may appear to the public as if it's in their interest. But often than not, you find them only doing things which are for special interest, maybe their own interests or things like that. You also have the issue of policy influence, you know, meaning that they will try to influence the processes of making policy by government, and often than not, like I said, it's not in the interest of the public. Now, you said you are talking about political parties not living up to expectation. That's why you have these kind of groups, you know, coming out to fill the space, I mean the vacuum rather. I think what you will find is that I heard you mention ADC, that part of Utomi is also part of the ADC.
Yeah.
Then, if it's true, then you are going to have a kind of conflict, you know, because the elected executives of the APC, I mean ADC as the case is now, may find it awkward, you know, for another group within the party now, you know, behaving as if they are the party officials speaking on behalf of the party, from which perspective, I don't know, or from which position will they be talking. So part of Utomi is going to have two problems. One, internal problems within the party that is a member of, and against the formal structure which we have, I mean, today as APC, which is in power, or the government that is in power. So this is why I believe that it is the government that needs to be more transparent, to engage, you know, the people of the country more, to demonstrate that they are working in the interest of the people, because Nigerians do not believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is working in their interest, you know, because of the programs that he has embarked upon, and the fact that the palliatives, if you want to use the word, that have been introduced have not met, you know, 1% of what Nigerians are really suffering in terms of the adverse effect of the programs, which perhaps, maybe, I don't know, on the long run, perhaps the programs may yield some positive results. But you see, anytime you are operating a government that is a capitalist system, that believes in the capitalist system of running government, which is what Bola Ahmed Tinubu government is, you have to look for dampers, and you have to bring in things that are targeted. I'm talking about targeted programs that will address the problems that these capitalist systems of government have brought into people. So because there is no targeted programs that are addressing, for instance, hunger, you know, issue of inflation, issue of insecurity, Nigerians have not seen the government coming out strongly in tackling these problems for them. So this is why you find the likes of Patu Utomi and others coming up to say, oh, we will be your savior because your government cannot save you. They have failed you. And the danger in that, it will degrade the democracy itself, and will make people to now begin to believe in afterthought, you know, organizations. I'm talking about organizations that perhaps for some other interest, but may come under the umbrella of, that they are coming to help the people. So it is the government of the day that should work harder, ensure that their programs are people-oriented. Let people see the government to be the government working for them, not the government working against them, working for only the elites, or in the society. So, and that's how Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has been looked at as, because it's the government of the elites. The poor are just left to their own fate, and this is why government must step up to the plate to ensure that you address the issue of inflation, you address the issue of poverty, you address the issue of unemployment and insecurity. Until you do that, the likes of shadow governments, you have one now that is aligned to ADC. You may have one tomorrow that will come and say they are from ADP, my own party, or another party can say, okay, we're also having our shadow government. So this is why let me
just to confirm this, that the shadow government, of course, is not part of the ADC, so to speak. I know that at some point, Professor Utomi was a member of the ADC. In fact, he contested as a presidential candidate under the ADC. But at this moment, I do not have evidence that he's a member currently a member of the ADC, even though he's shown that, he supports the group. I mean, on the basis of what he has said. But that's just by the way. I'm going to come back to you, sir. But let me come back to you, Mr. Akintobi. So now they've appointed, so to speak, cabinet members. And in the United Kingdom, just as you've said, we have shadow government, and you have shadow cabinet members, and these shadow cabinet members are actually elected MPs, MPs in the opposition who take up, shadow cabinet positions. I'm just wondering how this one is going to play out. I mean, having these shadow ministers, so to speak, that Prof has appointed.
You mentioned in the UK, the parliamentary system they run there, that the shadow government and the shadow secretaries are all elected members of parliament, which is true. But essentially, other than their legislative powers that are conferred on them based on their election, in that shadow role, they have no constitutional or legal authority. So essentially, they're just an informal gathering within their party who is meant to dog the steps of the party in power. That's why it's called shadow. It's meant to trail what it does, monitor it, report on it, criticize it, praise it, whatever the case may be, but none of it is binding upon...
Hardly praise.
It's not binding, well, hardly praise, yeah. But none of it is binding upon the incumbent. So really, apart from the fact that you give it a name, and you have a particular group of people, it's no different than anybody criticizing the government or any... I mean, look, we have a lot of non-governmental organizations in Nigeria, for example. We have Yaga Africa, we have, what's Yomi Adamoleko's group called now?
Yes, EIE.
Enough is enough. All of those too, all they simply are fighting for is better governance. There's no difference. The only thing that has caused this seeming demarcation here is the name that was given to what Prof. Utomi is trying to do. But at the end of the day, I think his is a bit more specialized because they're appointing one person to foreshadow each ministry and come back and report to the general group, and whatever criticisms or whatever advices are going to be put forward. So I think, like you said earlier, it's a storm in a teacup. We're getting all worked up over nothing because, by and large, it's no different from what we've always done to any administration in power. It's just that this is a group of people bringing themselves together to do it collectively under an umbrella.
Mr. Sani, you think we should take this group very seriously?
No, not at all, because it's like an erosion of democratic accountability. These are not elected, individuals. What you have in like Britain, where you have shadow government, they are also elected. They are responsible to the people. These are people that are self-appointed, and anything can happen. There will be transparency, there won't be accountability, How do you punish them? How do you hold them accountable? So this is why this kind of situation, I mean, these kind of groups should not be allowed to exist, because it's counter the idea of presidential system itself, and is counter to democratic institutions that we want to establish. This is not the way to strengthen democracy. This is the way to run down democracy itself, run down party politics, run down anything that you can talk about, because we are practicing constitutional democracy. It's not a democracy that is for all comers, that you can just wake up one day and
what
say,
they are
"I'm
doing
this."
essentially is just to provide some kind of check, just to check on the government. Is that wrong? On
behalf of who appointed them? They can be pressure groups. It's okay, but you can't give yourself that kind of position, an official title that I'm a minister of this shadow government. And
can they be doing it on behalf of themselves?
Why should they be doing it on behalf of themselves? Who are they? Against the larger interests of Nigerians? Just because you're able to bring yourself together, you now go and fight for your own interest. And then you fight against those that were elected by the masses, because whether it's an election that is questionable or not, today they are the legitimate government. You can't have people acting through unofficial channels.
I'll get a final word from you, Mr. Akintobi.
Nothing they say or do is legally binding or constitutionally backed. So I think as long as we contextualize whatever they say, I think that there's nothing wrong in them giving advice, in them criticizing. We all do it. Perhaps it may be a bit problematic, especially by way of interpretation for the average Nigerian who might see the word government and begin to think that they have some constitutional role. But for those who know, and for those who are politically conscious and aware, clearly we know that there's no force in law that backs these people. They're just a pressure group. They're an advocacy group. They are fighting for better governance, just like we all are. And the fact that they've constituted themselves into a group, they feel they'll be more effective if they apportion responsibilities to various of their members to particularly focus in certain particular areas. But yes, I don't agree with the nomenclature, because I think it's easy to misrepresent. I think those who are not as politically aware as others may misinterpret it and think that they have some force in law. So it is the responsibility of Professor Utomi and everybody else to make sure that their message is clear, that they are unofficial, they are not backed by constitution or by law, and that everything they are doing is on a private, personal level, and that it simply is advisory. I think they can play a very good role of an opposition. I think so.
Finally, Mr. Sani, do you think there's a chance people can misinterpret this, ordinary Nigerians now, and think, look, this is just some other form of government?
That's his concern.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. It has the propensity to erode the democratic accountability of the elected officials. That's the point I'm trying to make. It will undermine the accountability of the elected officials, because the people may think that these are people representing their interests, whereas it's not. And they will also chances that they will have undue influence. They may prioritize their own interests, like I said, over the public interest, public good. So this is the danger in shadow governments, that is not in the constitution or in the laws. So, and there is also lack of transparency, because how do they arrive at their decisions? So this is what we are talking about. That the fact that they can afford to do whatever they like in the manner they want, and there will be no accountability. Mark that word, accountability. Democracy is about accountability. That's why you elect people. And then accountability, as they said, responsibility begets accountability. That's why you give somebody responsibility, you can hold him to account. Somebody you didn't elect, how do you hold him to account? How does he just assume responsibility that I'm the minister of this shadow? So if he does anything, where do you take him to? So this is the issue. I'm not saying that, and then this is This is the one of the fallouts of government not allowing people to participate in decision making, not allowing elections to be conducted in the manner they are supposed to be conducted, not allowing people to feel the impact of the good governance. So this is what is happening. So this is why the government of the day will have to review their programs, see how do we impact positively the citizens of this country, so that you don't give people like Utomi coming out from an official channel to now assume responsibility without accountability. That is my problem.
And maybe down the road, the group would evolve now. The shadow government now would evolve into a political party. You never can tell. There's a chance.
No, good. I mean, if they evolve to a political party, that is in the law. You can hold them accountable.
I understand.
By then they are known. Their activities will now be organized, and then they'll be monitored, and then will also be in accordance with the law. Who has the law for shadow government in this country? None. There's no law.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much.
We can't be lawless.
We just have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Mr. Daya Akintobi, for coming on the program and sharing your insights with us on this issue.
My pleasure.
And Mr. Yusuf Yabagisani, thank you very much, sir, for coming on the program as well. And thanks a lot for your time. Yeah, all right, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, don't go away. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI 360, dissecting the issues.